Now, I don't know if you've heard, but there is a war going on. I'm talking about the war between men and women. I think both sides are getting played hard. So imagine you're part of that group of growing, excluded young men in our society in 2024, and you go online. What happens next is not an accident. Researchers at NYU Center for Social Media and Politics found that algorithmic recommendation was the single biggest driver of radicalization, more significant than the content itself. That's optimization, an unconscious A/B test running on your pain at scale in real time. And at the end of that pipeline, there's Andrew Tate in his Bugatti, or someone like him waiting. What happened next? The backlash content, the hundreds of thousands of videos generating hundreds of millions of views, and all of those views serving the identical engagement signals for that same algorithm. And fun fact, it's the only war in human history where both sides are sponsored by HelloFresh. The platform doesn't have a gender, it has an agenda, which is profit. Now here's the moment where I want to introduce psychologists and economists Anne Case and Angus Deaton. And their research found that deaths of despair are rising in parallel for both men and women. The crisis isn't gendered. Driven by the same forces, wage stagnation, deindustrialization, the collapse of community, the slow withdrawal of any kind of economic security, the gender war has two sides, the class war has one. And the people profiting from turning the class war into a gender war are, almost without exception, not in it. The people who run the platforms are not ignorant of that research because they have entire departments of behavioural scientists making sure that we don't swipe away from ads about whatever VPN they're pushing today. That's why I use Clockwork Orange VPN. When I don't want my eyelids to close against the absolute horror and outrage being poured at me by the algorithm, Clockwork Orange VPN keeps me absolutely glued to the poison. The Manosphere did not build the pipeline. They just sell things inside it. The moment you start asking who owns the arena, who profits from the fight, whose economic interests are served by you being furious at the person on the other side of the gender divide, rather than the system that put you both there, well then you become slightly less useful to the machine. But it's just because you're harder to manipulate.